Alright, hello everyone. It's Philip, and alright. So today we're going to be doing completing the square to find the vertex form of a parabola. Um, so the general equation for the vertex form of parabola is y equals a x minus h squared plus k, and I'm just going to go in briefly what each of these color-coded variables stand for. Um, in terms of like the general y equals x squared equation. So I'm just going to do a little graph to show you what we're doing to find vertex form actually means. So for this sample graph, I just plugged in y. This is the vertex form, right? Y equals a x minus h squared plus 3. So what the a is it's called a vertical stretch, in which all the values, all the y values are doubled. So for the base function y equals x squared, which is just a regular parabola, so like for example, you plug in 1 for x, you square that, you get 1 for y. It's kind of like where you're putting this 2 in front of it. So when you plug in 1 for x, square it, you get 2 for y. So each of the y values double, so it's like stretching the parabola by a factor of 2. So that's what this a does. This is a stretch factor. And then this h is the x value in which the vertex is shifted. And so the vertex is just this bottom point right here, in which it curves. It basically changes from decreasing to increasing, or if it was upside down, it'd be increasing to decreasing. So it's basically just that point and change that's called the vertex. So the h is the x value. So in this place, it's minus 2. So it's kind of weird. It's actually the opposite. So because it's a minus here. So because it's minus 2, it's actually shifted to the right 2 spaces. So its vertex coordinate is actually positive 2. And then this k, it is straightforward. So this is the y value shift. So in this case, it's plus 3. So it's actually shifted upward 3 points. So this is 3 right here. So the y-coordinate is positive 3. So those are the coordinates of the vertex. When I say shift, I'm talking about shift from the origin. Because the base function is y equals x squared, in which you just have, it's like a basic parabola from the center, right? Or it looks something like that. Not to scale, but yeah. So it's just the shift in the vertex and stretch with this a value. So I'm going to show you how to get from a standard form of this equation. This equation, 2x squared minus 8x plus 11, will actually give you the exact same parabola. It's just written in a different form. Like if I were to expand out this x minus 2 squared, distribute the 2 in there, and then add the 3 in there, you would get this value. So I'm going to show you how you get, so if you're given this equation right here, I'm going to show you how to get to this equation. So that way you can easily find the vertex of parabola. And how to just, you don't have to always rewrite the entire equation to figure out what the vertex is, and I'll cover that on a different video. But anyways, let's start. Okay, so you're given an equation y equals x squared plus 4x plus 1. So in my foiling video, I had something called, there's like a trick with perfect squares. So the general formula is, let's say you have a plus b squared. And when you FOIL it, the trick is you have a squared plus 2 times a times b. Sorry, handwriting's not very good. I'm writing with a mouse. And then plus b squared. So that's a general form for a complete square. And this is the expanded out standard form, which is what this also is right here. So the a what is the a in this case? The a squared is the x squared, right? So that means a must equal x. B squared, we actually don't know that because we're going to change this into this. But we do know what the middle term is. So actually, in order to complete the square, we have to ignore this last term. So just rewrite it as x squared plus 4x. And we will deal with this little 1 here in a minute. So we don't know what the b squared is, but we do know part of what 2ab is. So we know that 2ab is equal to 4x, right? Because that's what this middle term is right here, and that's what this middle term is right here. So we know what a is. We know a is equal to x, right? So we have 2xb is equal to 4x. So what is b? B has to be equal to 2, right? That's the only way for this to work. So we know a is x, and we know that b is 2. So we know that our binomial squared, a plus b squared, has to be x plus 2 squared. Sorry, that's really bad too. Let me rewrite that. Okay. So we have our middle term. So since we know b is 2, we know that b squared has to be 4. 2 squared is 4. But we have to account this 1 in here. So since this is the complete square, we still have to make this 1. So you can actually just rewrite this as plus 4 minus 3, right? X squared plus 4x plus 4 minus 3 is the same thing as x squared plus 4x plus 1. So now I can sort of put this into the binomial and rewrite this as x squared, not x squared, as x plus 2 quantity squared, and then this minus 3. And that is the rewritten form. So this is the vertex form of this equation here. And you notice there's no a value. The a value is actually just 1 because there's no stretch anywhere in the original equation. So what is the vertex in this case? It's minus h, so this is actually negative 2. And it's plus k, so it's just whatever is here, so it's negative 3. So that would be the vertex of this equation. Okay, so let's go to another one. It's a little harder, but this time the a value isn't 1. So what do you do here? Alright, so the first thing I would do to get this a value, you know that it's a 2, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to divide this whole thing by 2. And then, well, I'm actually just factoring out a 2. So I can rewrite this as 2x squared minus 2x plus 2. The same thing, right? If I distribute this 2 into the whole thing, I'm going to get this thing up here. So now we need to complete the square of this little thing inside here. Actually, let me use a different color. Boop. Okay. So we're not going to look at this 2 for a minute. Right now we're just going to look at the x squared minus 2x. And we're going to figure out what's supposed to be here to make it a perfect square. So the trick really is what we did back here is we know we have to have 2ab. We figured out what a was, and we had to figure out what b was. But the easy thing to figure out what b is you just divide this middle term by 2. Because it's 2ab, right? You already know what a is, so it's 2b. That's all you have left. And then you're dividing by 2, and then you have b. So, right? So you have 2ab. You know what a is. So then, right, 2xb. You have 2b. That's what you don't know. You divide by 2, and you get what b. So, anyways, So the middle term in this case is negative 2x. So all we have to do is divide by the coefficient. So what's negative 2 divided by 2? It's negative 1. But right here, this box here is supposed to be the b squared, right? A squared plus 2ab plus b squared. So then you square this, and b squared is going to be plus 1. So it's going to be plus 1. So a is going to still equal x, but b is going to equal negative 1. So you're supposed to have in parentheses, oops, not an a, but an x minus 1 squared. But that's x squared minus 2x plus 1. Here we have an x squared minus 2x plus 2. So all I have to do is I'm going to rewrite this as x squared, hold on a minute, x squared minus 2x plus 1 plus 1, right? I can do that. 1 plus 1 is the same thing as 2. And then, of course, this is all in parentheses with that 2 there. So what I'm going to do is, since we have our perfect square right here, we know that it's equal to this right here. We're just going to replace that. So we have our 2. We have our x minus 1, use right here, squared. And then we have this little plus 1 on the outside. So, yeah, sorry, I'm going a little crazy with the colors right now, but whatever. Okay, so now the last thing I'm going to do, just to make it more like proper vertex form, is to distribute this 2 in for both of them. And then our final answer is going to be y equals 2, and in parentheses, x minus 1 squared plus 2, because we distributed that little 2 in there. And then that is your answer here. And then to figure out what the vertex is, take the negative of this. So negative of negative 1 is just positive 1. And then just whatever's in here. So that's 2. And then that is the vertex for this parabola. So the last one is a little awkward. So we're just going to look at this x squared plus 3x. We're not going to worry about this 1 quite yet. So what do we need to have here? It's going to be plus something, because anything squared is, right? The b squared is a positive. Anything squared will become positive. It doesn't matter if it's a negative, positive, negative squared. Yeah. So in order to get this third term, we have to divide by 2 and then square it. So 3 divided by 2 squared. Top squared is 9, bottom squared is 4. So you know this is supposed to be 9 over 4. But you know it's minus something, because this is greater than 1, obviously, has to equal 1. So 9 over 4 plus x has to equal 4 over 4, right, which is equal to 1. So if I move this 9 over, x has to equal negative 5/4. So, alright, 9 over 4 minus 5 over 4 equals 1. So I'm going to rewrite this as x squared plus 3x plus 9 over 4 minus 5 over 4 is going to equal this, right? It's the same thing. This part equals 1, so it's the same. But now we have this, which is a new complete square, right? We have the a, right? This is a squared, so that's just x. This right here is the b squared, so we take the square root again, but we already know what it was. It was 3 divided by 2, so that's just plus 3 over 2. And it has to be squared. And then minus 5 over 4. So this is just the case in which the number isn't quite as pretty as usual, but I've tested it that this is the correct equation. You can put it into a graphing calculator. And you can put this into a graphing calculator and they will output the exact same graph. But at least when you rewrite it this way, you automatically know what the vertex is, right? The negative of this, and then whatever this is. So this is just straight negative 5/4. That's a vertex. This is a vertex form. And that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you guys next time.